Hello and welcome to SGN Tech Forum. So today in this video we are going to talk about different various media types in networking. That means if you're in a field of networking, you are dealing with the Cat5 cable to connect your laptop with a switch, or if you are working in a data center kind of environment, you have seen various optical cables, right? And as well as if you have seen wireless communication. So wireless is also one of the media. So there are various type of media. So today in this video we are going to discuss about various type of media, understand a little bit of physics, which put some restriction on how fast these medias can communicate, and we'll compare them, right, for their use cases. So let's get started. So the first thing is how waves travel. So waves travels as electromagnetic waves. That means when the electron moves, it creates a wave, and you can see it's a sinusoidal kind of representation for the wave. So number of oscillation per second is called waves frequency. So if it is like very fast zigzag, that means it's a higher frequency wave, but it's like a smooth out graph, then it's a lower frequency thing. And how frequency impact the bandwidth, we'll see that later. So now as you understand frequency, next thing is the distance between two consecutive maxima or minima. So if it's a sinusoidal wave, sorry I'm drawing in a blank, but you can think that two peaks of the wave, two consecutive peaks of the wave, the distance between them is called wavelength, right? And this wavelength actually very useful. It give you some guided principle how far this wavelength can travel without getting really distorted. At the same time, what is the size of receiver you will need at the other end to receive this signal normally. So I'll talk about some thumb rules in upcoming slides, but this is about frequency and bandwidth. Now let's talk about speed of light. Speed of light is a constant that a wave can travel maximum, or not maximum, it moves at this distance in vacuum. When I say vacuum, that means it's there is no atmospheric interference, so like in space, right? But obviously inside the earth orbit there is a different interferences, so this limit get affected by various factors, which we will discuss later. But speed of light is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, and in generic sense you can say that it moves 1 feet per nanosecond, so it's quite fast. So some basics in research field, there are a couple of equation. I really don't want you to go in academics, but a couple of equation you should know. That's Nyquist theorem, which help you derive the maximum data rate. So you can see Nyquist maximum data rate is 2b log base 2 of v per bit per second. So this is the maximum, and when Nyquist research, he again assumed that there is no atmospheric interference. So the next equation comes, which is Shannon's theorem, which is more realistic to our environment because it considers signal to noise ratio into account. And you can see the max data rate for that Shannon's equation is b as in bandwidth log base 2 of 1 plus Sn, signal to noise ratio. Okay, and again signal to noise is also represented in logarithmic scale with a base 10. So I will be doing another wireless where I will dwell upon the signal noise and other contention concept. But for now, please remember this because this puts a higher bound on how we communicate, how networking component can communicate. So next thing, you know that the information carrying capacity of a electromagnetic wave depends on receive power and the distance, and it is proportional to the bandwidth. So the more the bandwidth, you can travel more than distance, and receiver power will be more, right? As a thumb rule, you can see you can have high frequency signals or waves, or low frequency signals or waves, like AM signals. They are really low frequency in megahertz, and I'll show you the bandwidth chart, frequency chart, so you can see which technology falls where. So low frequency waves travel far distance, but and it has large wavelength. So the wavelength itself is very large, but its information carrying capacity is less. Okay. Again, being a large wavelength, it impact your antenna size. So if you have large wavelength signal, you can have large antenna, right? And for higher bandwidth, you want a smaller antenna, like in our cell phone. So cell phone frequencies are very high. That's why you see the antenna. Sometimes it's not visible at all in new smartphones, but it's very small antenna stays there. But again, higher frequencies can travel less distance compared to low frequency or AM signals, but the information carrying capacity is very high. And a couple of equations: C equal to F lambda. Lambda is a wavelength, F is a frequency, as you can see in my slide, and C is the speed of light. So this is a common representation that speed of light, C equal to F into lambda, and you can derive your bandwidth also with the delta frequencies, right? So now let's since we know a little bit about physics, it's a very deep topic. I am not going into that, but now so we understand what is frequency, what is wavelength. Let's talk about different media type. So there are primarily two different media type. You can categorize in multiple fashions, but here in my slide we have two media type: wired or guided media, wireless, unguided media. So in wired media, it's like your twisted pair, coax cable, optical fiber, the media which you can actually touch and feel and see, right? And then there is a wireless or unguided media, which is your radio waves, microwaves, cellular frequencies, satellite communication, all those. Again, speed of light comes into picture. So in vacuum, we discussed this is the speed of light, but with atmospheric interference, generally in copper wire, wavelength moves, waves moves at the rate of 2.3 into 10 to the power 8, and optical fiber moves at 2.0 into 10 to the power 8. So you can see that almost one third of decrease happens when it travels through the physical media or air medium, right? So now this is our communication system and electromagnetic spectrum chart. You can see we have ranges defined from as low as 10 to the power 2, that means hertz, and these are all in hertz. So 100 hertz to almost 10 to the power 24, which is giga or tera petahertz. Feel free to Google it, I don't recall, but you can see that where these different technology fits, right? So you have power and telephone lines working on several hundred of hertz frequency. Then you have DSL, then you have cellular, you have Wi-Fi communication as 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz ISM bands. Then you can see you have your microwave radio, infrared lights, visible light. Obviously the light what we can see, it's also fall between 10 to the power 14 to 20 to the power 16 hertz. And at the same time we have optical fiber running here. So optical fiber can run light emitting diode, LED or semiconductor LED. We'll touch base on that in upcoming videos. And on very high end of the frequency you can see X-rays, and sometimes it can be dangerous for a human being, is a gamma rays, right? So this is the frequency spectrum, on very high level. Now let's talk about wireless and wired media. Some quick comparison between wireless and wired media. Signal energy propagates in space, limited directionally. Wired media, signal energy contained and guided within the medium, obviously because it follows a particular path, right? It's either it's a copper wire or optical, but it follows a particular path. So it's contained within the medium. But in air, wireless, it actually propagates in space and limited directionally, so you can actually focus in one direction or you can spread, but if you try to spread, the signal will get weaker quickly. Interference is possible and spectrum is also regulated. That means you cannot use any frequency what you want The frequencies are highly regulated because cell phone frequencies are regulatory allocated by regulatory body and government, and they are very pricey. And only few certain bands are available for unlicensed band, which we generally use at home, right? But here spectrum is no issues because it is contained within the wire. Limited bandwidth, here you can have extremely high bandwidth, and when we discuss the optical fiber you will see how. Simple infrastructure, antenna and transmitters. Here is a complex infrastructure, so you want to lay your cable or your optical fiber, then a lot of groundwork you have to do, complex infrastructure, conduit, ducts, pole, and all those things. So implementation wise, wireless is easy, but again wired is more heavy on extremely high on bandwidth. Attenuation is simple of distortion, right? So if a waves travels, it get interference by different object like raindrops, vapor, air particle, and it loses its strength. So when it loses its strength, it's called attenuation. Yep. A couple of formulas here. We can overlook that, and then let's talk about wired media type. The very first which we are all familiar with is twisted pair. Twisted pair you can see in our Cat5 cable, generally what we use at home for a LAN network. So you can see that there is 8 pair of cable twisted, and the reason they are twisted because if you run them parallel, they may be act as an antenna and susceptible to the outer world interference. So it's better to twist them. And you can see telephone lines also they uses twisted pair, Cat3 twisted pair, and here is a representation. Okay, what I want to show you is how to calculate bandwidth for ADSL. So you can see in ADSL, pardon my typo here, ADSL, which is internet over your telephone line, POTS, plain old telephony system. So if you are receiving internet over that line, this is how we calculate the bandwidth. So maximum data rate is bandwidth into log base 2 of 1 plus SN, and here ADSL uses frequency of 1.1 megahertz, and a signal to noise ratio of 40 is pretty standard or usual. So we are taking these two values, and if you calculate this equation using this value, you will see that roughly 13 Mbps. That's the max data rate you can see get with ADSL. Now twisted pair bit rates. So we are talking about some other line rates, standards, T1, DS1, STS1, and different data rates. So T1 is most common, right? It's used in telephone circuits. It's a reliable synchronized circuit, and it runs at 1.544 Mbps, and also distance impacts that 5.5 kilometer without any repeater, and so on. Ethernet LAN is very widely used, and we all are familiar with this, but little bit of history. Ethernet LAN was never not always look like what we see today. The Cat5 cable, initially the classic Ethernet was a long fat pipe with certain distance limitation, and then you have your station hooked on to this pipe, right? It was not like one-to-one peer-to-peer communication from your networking from your laptop or PC to a switch. It was all one long fat pipe, like used to call it like yellow snake kind of thing, and then connect. So that was the initial days. Then we had switch Ethernet, switch Ethernet, where the switching concept comes into picture, and we started using Cat5 UTP or STP cables. And as you can see, 10 base T, 100 base T, all these are the different standards. So first thing denotes your speed. 10 means 10 Mbps, and baseband, that means this start with one particular frequency and ends at a certain higher frequency. There is no modulation needed. That means you don't have to modulate your signal to a higher range, what we do in wireless world. So that's why it's a baseband communication. Okay, so now comes coaxial cable. So cable TV network, CATV, it was initially used for entertainment purpose only, right? But then later on they realized that you can also provide internet services at the unused spectrum, bandwidth spectrum. So they did a certain modification and started providing internet over coaxial cable. Coaxial cable, if you see in the picture, looks like this. So you have a copper, thick copper wire, and on top of that you have multiple cladding, plastic sheet and opaque cladding, so that it is more immune to interference, and because of this thickness, it has higher bandwidth than twisted pair. Pardon me. Also, it can travel long distance than telephony system. Okay, cable. This is the spectrum for cable modem and TV. So you can see it start with as low as 5 megahertz, run all the way to 750 megahertz, and here you can see cable TV. For TV channels, generally they use 6 or 7 megahertz wide channel, and rest of the channel here they are used for downstream and upstream communication of internet. Okay, so you can see cable modem shared upstream and downstream. Obviously these are shared medium, because you have the head end, one central head end, and the cable running from head end to is shared amongst different houses. So it's a shared medium. And how it works, I'll talk about in my future videos, where we'll dwell upon each technology like ADSL, cable, T1, E1, etc., and find more detail about it. Now, optical fiber, right? So far it was all copper kind of communication, but optical fiber has taken the communication to a different level, because it can provide you very high bandwidth. And there are two type of light sources are there: laser, which are a little expensive, and then LED diodes, which can use to generate pulse of light that transmit from one end to another end within the optical fiber. Based on how far your light is traveling, you can classify as a short haul or long haul cable, and also how the waves are traversing within this optical fiber. You can classify them as a single mode or multi-mode, and that we will see in the next slide. So transmission in optical fiber, you can see is again a little bit of physics involved here. So you have the light source which enter the core, and then dispersion happen, it reflects, but we have a cladding so that it should not go out. Some obviously go out, but it has it reflect again and travels. Like you can see, if it is less than critical angle, then it can keep on traveling inside the optical fiber. A very fine glass cylindrical core surrounded by concentric layer of glass. So fine glass surrounded by again a glass cladding, and core has higher index of refraction than cladding. So the mismatch of refraction index keep the light tapped in the inner core. Okay. Multimedia and multimode and single mode fiber in data center kind of environment, or you have seen it a lot of time. So short haul, multimode, cheaper. Single mode, it can travel very long distance, and but it may be a little expensive, right? So multimode, thicker core, shorter reach. Single mode, very thin core, supports only one mode. So you can see here in this presentation, there are two different light frequencies traveling without conflicting with each other, but in single mode, just one single path. So optical fiber properties, very quickly, a low attenuation compared to copper, because it is not susceptible from environmental interferences or magnetic interferences. Noise immunity, obviously that same thing I talked about, and it has extremely high bandwidth. How, we'll see next. Obviously then no technology is without any disadvantage. So you have wavelength dependence, and these are subscribable for the cable may get bend. If the bend angle is too much, then cable will be distorted, and if there is a cable cut, they're difficult to splice, join them together, and all those things. Okay. Again, advantage, very low attenuation. That means per dB, so loss is measured in decibel per kilometer, and loss is very less because it is not susceptible to different atmospheric interferences. And general rule is, thumb of rule is, it loses 3 dBm per kilometer. Huge bandwidth available. This is a pretty involved equation here, but I want to I want you to look at example section. So you can see that I have a bandwidth or a transceiver which operate at 1420 nanometer, and then it can go max up to 1650. That means we have a 200 nanometer of bandwidth delta available, and using the equation what I shown you in the slide 1, you can see you can have 19 terahertz of bandwidth within this range. So it can go really high. Okay, now let's talk about a little bit of now so we understand optical technology. Let's talk about different use case of it, and the very famous is for long haul is WDM, wavelength division multiplexing. So you can see different wavelength carry separate signals, multiplex into a shared optic, and a single fiber can carry 160 wavelength, 10 GB per wavelength. So it can give you 1.6 Tbps, and this thing is always improving. So please check the latest and limits. This technology is evolving, and these things are always changing, right? But as per this slide, you can see different wavelength light sources, lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3, they all are multiplexed together, travel through one optical fiber. Each wavelength can carry maximum 10 GB, and hence you can get 1.6 Tbps, right? But it's not like that. Optical fiber is not getting impacted by anything, right? Because any signal which is traveling to a distance, it is bound to have some attenuation, some distortion. So an optical fiber is no exemption. The second technology is CWDM, coarse and dense WDM. So few wavelength, it's a cheaper implementation. So you can see few wavelength with wide spacing, low cost, simple, dense WDM. Okay. Regenerate optical amplifier. So since, as I talked about, that it is also it can be also impacted as it travels. It can lose its power, signal power. So you can see we use regeneration between in DWDM. So DWDM system carries many signal in one fiber. At each span, a separate regenerator required, very expensive. So you can see that between each span we actually use regenerators, and these regenerator again bump the signal amplitude. So regenerators are needed everywhere, but it's not like needed in short haul. It needed based on it's a multi-mode or single mode, the different distance as long as far as 30 kilometer, every 30 kilometer. And then you have different type of amplifier called optical amplifier. Optical amplifier can amplify the composite DWDM signal without demux from optical to electrical conversion, and it is a little expensive, but you can see it is it can be used in DWDM signal with 1530 to 1620 range, and span between regeneration point 100 which is greater than 1000 kilometer, which is very long, right? So here you have optical amplifiers which can, so you don't need a regeneration very often. You just have optical amplifier and dramatically reduce the cost of long distance communication. But it is again tied up with the certain type of fiber at 1530 to 1620 range, which in nutshell make this a little expensive. Okay, now finally the radio transmission. Radio transmission from the, you see all this wavelength, a certain band goes as a radio communication, because beyond certain threshold the wave turn into visible light and then X-ray and gamma rays. But before that you have the radio communication band, which is mainly used in cellular technology, satellite communication, and wireless LAN. So that's where the radio communication comes into picture. Obviously your microwave oven and cordless phone, they all use radio communication. So this is our radio spectrum, again a truncated view. So you can see AM radio, which worked at some 1000 hertz frequencies. Then you have FM band, then cellular within US, because cellular differ from one region to another and based on what kind of technology you're using, if it is a 3G or 4G. And then finally satellite and terrestrial communication, they are the fixed band. And also you see the characteristics is also changes. At lower spectrum, lower frequency, it's omnidirectional, but as it moves towards the higher end, it becomes more like a point-to-point technology. That's why you have seen that microwave communication used in cellular network to connect two terrain which has uneven terrestrial territory between them, and laying down a cable is a difficult job. So you can have a line of sight radio communication. And the example for radio communication, as I mentioned, cellular phone technology, wireless LAN technology, ISM band, and then point-to-point system, directional antenna for microwave communication, and satellite communication. So geostationary satellite, which is situated at the height of 35,000 kilometer above Earth's surface, and so it moves as slow at the almost at the same speed of Earth. So it looks like it's always stationary with compared to the Earth, and that's why we call it geostationary. And then you have long distance telephony, satellite TV broadcast, and other things. So this was my attempt to discuss different media type. I hope you found it useful, because as a network engineer you always deal with various media type, and having a good understanding of this will help you. And in our future video we are going to talk about more about different technologies like ADSL, cable TV, cellular, so that you understand it more. Thank you very much.